Drugs and music don't mix. Here's an interesting little story that happened about 20 years ago. I was working with a producer guy, and he was always amped up and stuff, and it really didn't dawn on me what the hell was going on, but he was drinking a lot, right? And he'd be sitting there mixing my music on a big mixing board. Back then when there were big mixing boards, I'm sure there still are, but not like back then. Anyhow, so this guy is mixing my music, and then he'd like get off his chair, run into a cupboard, stick his nose in, and then get back to mixing. Like stick his whole head where there's like a door, I couldn't see it. And I thought maybe he's reading a book, you know, looking at all the EQ levels of what needs to go up and all that jazz. Didn't really think much of it. And so what ended up happening was he did it so much, and then he'd rush to the bathroom and then grab a beer, keep mixing, stick his head in this cupboard, mix. I mean, he must have taken like 4 dumps in an hour. So finally one day, he kept doing it, and I'm at his house again. He's mixing another day, sticking his head in the thing, drinking beer, going to the bathroom again. Finally, I decide, you know, what the fuck is this head doing inside that cabinet? I'm gonna go look. I look inside, and there's a big, nice white pile of powder. Homeboy is sniffing something with baby laxatives in it, and I realized there's this weird smell coming off of it. And it kind of reminded me of other people's houses. Coke has a very distinct smell to it. That's kind of my weird drug story with it. It was so bad that I had to go and have another guy mix the album because this guy wasn't doing his job. He was too inebriated and too out of his mind. And he had such an erratic behavior about shit that it was just very difficult to be around the dude. Well-known musician, I ain't gonna drop any names. You know, he kind of used his name as clout to pull off whatever he wanted to because he was blah, blah, blah. I mean, it didn't turn me off to music, but it turned me off to dealing with folks that are further up the ladder. A lot of cats who are farther along in the industry than you are, I'd say 80% of them are just full of themselves. You know, their egos are just so out of hand that they're just tough to deal with, you know. And that's why it's like when I decide my joy is not really into a project somebody, I don't care how famous they are, how well known they are, or if, you know, they've turned Coke into Pepsi or they mix God's album, I don't care. You know, I don't want to deal with it. You know, if it's taking away my joy, I don't want to handle it.